Good morning. We're here today to making this video about the tire hammer safety class, a portion of the requirements at Athens Forge that you're going to have to do to run this hammer. First off, we're going to talk about hammer parts. This is the on-off switch. By the time we get to using the hammer, there's also going to be a light on the wall so that anybody can see if the hammer is actually running or not. This is the motor, which has an aluminum pulley on it, which will eventually get to this tire and cause it to rotate. To operate the hammer, you're going to step on the treadle, and this linkage connects it to a brake, which drops down off of the tire, which allows it to spin freely, and also lifts your motor up into the tire to start the rotation. When the linkage is, when the treadle is depressed, the motor comes up into the tire will start to rotate. Like that, and the connection between, the linkage between here and here is what causes your hammer to raise up and down. By controlling your foot treadle, you can make the hammer run faster, or you can make the hammer run slower. As the hammer operates, it'll contact your piece against the anvil here, just like you're working on a hand anvil. The hammer can be used just like this to draw pieces out of various sizes, or you may have an operation that you will use various tools on this anvil. The next thing we want to look at is hammer maintenance. And the most important thing you can remember is to just look at the hammer and make sure everything looks right. Primarily, you're looking for loose bolts. You're looking for a nut that is backed off, or a bolt head that appears to be loose. It doesn't even hurt to reach up and grab everything with your hands and make sure everything's good and tight. If your hammer dies get loose, you'll start to hear a slapping sound. So kind of keep that in mind. Another thing we want to look for before we start the hammer is bearing bronze. There's a bronze bearing here, here, and here on both sides. If those bearings fail or start to fail, a lot of times you'll see bronze dust, or at some points even chunks of the bearing laying there. So that's a good thing to look for. The first thing you do before we run the hammer every day is lubricate everything. The linkage has 6 different points to lubricate it. And those are just holes that you drop oil into. We've got an oil can on the wall right behind the hammer. So you come up and you give it a squirt here, and a couple of squirts here, 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 and here. And that takes care of all the bushing lubrication. The next thing you want to be sure and do is lubricate where your hammer runs up and down. Just a squirt of oil on all 4 sides will take care of that. If the hammer runs, for long periods, we might want to do this a time or two during the day. But normally once a day, lubricating everything, we'll keep it running fine. Okay, now we want to talk about safety. The main thing that we're going to really be on everybody about is wear safety glasses when you're running this hammer. That's an absolute have to, no excuses, wear your safety glasses. We want you to have hearing protection when you're running the hammer, whether it be earplugs or muffs or whatever you're comfortable with. And also, if there's somebody working close to you, in the near vicinity, they should have hearing protection on also. You want to make sure that your floor is clear of clutter. You don't want to be stepping over tools or anything when you're moving between the forge and the hammer with a hot piece of steel. Also, you're going to develop, you're going to wind up with scale on the anvil. Everybody's got a habit of cleaning it off, and that's fine. But never clean that scale off with your foot on the treadle. Keep your foot off the treadle, clean your piece, clean your anvil, and then you can put your foot back on the treadle and go to work. It might even be a good idea if you're going to clean it off to shut the hammer off. Clean it off and then go back to work. So keep that in mind. And the last thing we want to emphasize is to know what you want to accomplish before you walk up to the hammer. When you pull your piece out of the forge, know what you want to do when you get up to here. That will help you work smoother, that will help from accidents, and your work will come out better.